Hey guys, it's Grace from Graceful Books, and I'm back with another video. So today's video is going to be a 7 on Sunday video, which is about books that you were recommended that are by Black authors, or books that you want to recommend that are by Black authors. So I'm going to do those two. It was kind of up to your choice what you wanted to do. I'm going to do both because I have books that were recommended to me that are by Black authors that I want to get to, and then I have books that I read that I loved and enjoyed that I want to recommend to you guys that are by Black authors. So this is kind of a mixed video. Anyways, if you don't know what 7 on Sunday is, it is basically a Goodreads group on Goodreads. I will link the group down below in case you want to join as well. And the creator of it is G Swizz from G Swizzle Books. I'll link her channel down below as well if you want to check it out. And anyways, every Sunday they have a prompt that you are allowed to answer with 7 answers. You don't have to do it in video format. You can do it on Instagram. You can do it on a blog post. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do. But I'm going to do it in a video format. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first book is one that was recommended to me, and that is Song of Blood and Stone by Ella Penelope. This is the first book in the Earthsinger Chronicles. I don't know how many books are in this. I literally know basically nothing about this. I actually got this as a recommendation kind of spontaneously on Twitter. Someone offered up their services and they left a survey, so if you wanted to fill it out and get 3 book recommendations, you could do that. I filled it out. This was one of the book recommendations that popped up on my thing, and I automatically bought it because it sounded really interesting. So, just to give you some context about what this is about, it's a little hard. I feel like I've reread the synopsis multiple times, and I'm going to try to simplify it because there's so much written on here. So I'm not giving you everything. So that should tell you how interesting this book is because there's way more to it than what I'm even telling you as someone who hasn't even read it. Anyways, so basically there are these 2 kingdoms that are kind of butting heads, Elsira and Lagrimar, and there's a mantle that is kind of protecting them from each other, keeping them apart. But the mantle is actually starting to weaken, and therefore the Lagrimarians start to break through. And our main character, Jasminda, is an Elsiren person, and she's Black, and she's also an Earthsinger. It doesn't really tell you what an Earthsinger is, so I'm assuming you find out in the book. But she's both of those things, so she's outcasted by her own people, and she kind of lives by herself, kind of near the coast of the mantle. And when she realizes that Lagrimarians are starting to leak through, she starts to realize that the mantle is obviously weakening, and something needs to be done about it, and she is one of the people that is going to do something about it. So this is just there's a lot more to it. I'm just very interested in it. It sounds like it's going to be a wild ride, and I'm ready for that. It sounds like a super, super high fantasy, and I haven't read a super high fantasy in so long. I don't even know if I've even read one, period. So this book is kind of intimidating for me. I also made it a goal this year to finish series that I started instead of starting new series. So I probably won't be able to get to this until the very end of the year or the start of next year if I reach my goal. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, so the next one is Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson. This author quickly became one of my favorites last year. I read one of her books, which is also on the list, so you gotta wait for that. But I personally really loved it, and it became one of my favorite books of last year, and I really enjoy her writing style. So I got excited, and I pre-ordered this right away, and then I found her other book and bought that one too, so that one's also on this list. There's a bunch of Tiffany D. Jackson on this list. I'm just putting that out there. Anyways, this one was not recommended to me, but I kind of recommended it to myself, I guess. Or, in a sense, Jackson recommended it herself because her writing was so good. She was like, "You love my writing so much, Grace. You should go get my other books." And I followed that recommendation. Anyways, if you do not know anything about this book, I've been told by other people that it's a contemporary. I thought it was a mystery, but I guess that's not necessarily the case because the people who actually read the book have said that it's a contemporary. So I'm just going to assume that they're right and that it's a contemporary. So this follows a young Black girl whose name is Enchanted Jones. Her dream is to become a singer and a star, and she catches the eye of a famous R&B artist named Corey Fields. He's much older than her, and from my understanding of it, their relationship and friendship kind of turns toxic, with Corey kind of being an awful guy. And at some point, Corey Fields ends up dead, and Enchanted is one of the suspects in the murder case. So that's the reason I thought it was a mystery, and that's the main reason I was super, super excited for this book, because I think Jackson does a great job with stories like that. Personally, I might be the odd one out on that, but that's why I got really excited about this. But if it's just about Enchanted and her messed up relationship with Corey Fields, I feel like I can also really get down with that too. So we'll see, because I do have the tendency to like dark contemporary. So I'm excited about this regardless of what genre it is. But like, if you've read this, please don't spoil it, but tell me if you thought it leaned more towards contemporary, or if you thought it leaned more towards like a mystery thriller. I just want to know other people's opinions, because so far I've heard 2 people just call it a contemporary when I originally thought that it was going to be a mystery thriller. And the next one is also by Tiffany D. Jackson, since we're on a roll with her right now, and that is Monday's Not Coming. I also have not read this one, so once again, this one was kind of recommended to me by Jackson because of her writing in another book. Anyways, I don't have like a synopsis of this book right here on the back, and I don't know if it's on the inside. Yeah, I don't think it's on the inside, so I'm just going to kind of tell you what I know about it. So from my understanding of it, there is a young girl, and her best friend Monday has basically vanished and disappeared, and everyone seems to have like no reaction to it. Nobody seems to notice that Monday is missing. Nobody's really searching for her. The only person who seems to care is her best friend. And personally, from what I've heard, this is like a very tense story that is commentating on the fact that a lot of young black girls go missing and nothing is done about it. Nothing changes. They're kind of forgotten, and that's a tragedy. And so I'm really intrigued by the concept of this book. I'm really wondering what's going to take place in it. I just get really excited about Jackson's like plot lines after what she did in her other book. I just get very excited about her books. To put it simply, like I said, she became one of my favorite authors last year with just one book. So I'm really excited to get into her books, but I'm also scared because, like, what if I don't like them? And then I just named her my favorite new author, and I don't even like her other books. I'm intimidated, but I'm also excited. So it's a mixture. I also forgot to say that I'm actually doing 8 books in this video. One I don't physically own, but I want to mention it here because I think it's a good book that I want other people to read. So moving on. The next book that was also a recommendation to me is Early Departure by Justin A. Reynolds. This one actually just popped up on my Goodreads at some point, and I can't remember. I feel like one of the people I'm friends with commented on how they're like super excited for the release of it. And so I clicked on it, I read the description, and I was like, I understand why you're excited about this release. So I pre-ordered it, and it is way bigger than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like maybe 300 pages. But no, this one's like over 400 some pages. I'm still super excited about it. I just wasn't expecting it to be that large, and now I'm also intimidated by this one. So if you do not know what the story is about, I'm going to try to put it as best I can. I've tried explaining it before, and I feel like I just suck at it. I don't know why, but this book takes place in the future, and it is a contemporary novel, I believe. We follow 2 black kids, Q and Jamal, and they used to be like the best of friends, but something caused a division between them, and they are no longer like close or anything along those lines. Q, however, ends up in a situation where he ends up dying, and his friend Jamal tries to save him, but obviously it doesn't work. However, since we're in the future, there's this new technology that allows the dead to be reanimated and brought back to life. Q's entire family, though, wants him to have no recollection that he died, have no clue that he passed away at any point, so they're trying to keep it a secret that he died at some point. And Jamal is trying to become his friend again, and I guess Q's life is still in danger as well. So we don't exactly know why Q's life is in danger or what's going on with that. We don't know the technologies of the reanimation and what comes along with it. So I'm super, super excited for the general concept of this book because I want to know what the reanimation thing has done to society. I feel like it would change a lot personally, so I'm excited about that. But the plot itself is super intriguing as well and kind of mysterious. And also, Jamal, I think I said this, I can't remember, but Jamal is like trying to become friends with Q again, and Q obviously has no clue that Jamal tried to save him. He has no recollection of him even dying. So Jamal kind of out of the blue trying to befriend him again. It's kind of weird to Q, but yeah, we kind of follow these two characters, and I am so excited about this book. First of all, I feel like I rarely get to read books that are about like male friendship, and I'm here for it. So I'm really excited about this book. I've said that like a million times. I'm sorry. I just get pumped, and I don't know other words to use except for excited because my dictionary is so small. Anyways, the next book is Monster by Walter Dean Myers. This is a book that I actually have read and I want to recommend to people. I feel like this one's probably recommended a lot, so it was also recommended to me by someone actually. My boyfriend recommended it to me, and he's very much into fiction. So the fact that this was he's very much into nonfiction, sorry. My boyfriend's very much into nonfiction, and this is a fictional novel. So I was intrigued the second like we walked past it at a store, and he was like, oh, that's a good book. And I grabbed it and read the synopsis, and I was kind of like, this is fiction? And he's like, I'm pretty sure. And I was like, okay. I'm going to get it since he seemed to like it. And boy, was he not wrong. This was a really, really good book. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. If you know nothing about it, it follows a 16-year-old black boy named Steve Harmon, and he has been accused of a homicide. Essentially, he participated in a robbery, and it ended up in the death of the store owner. And he is being tried for this, alongside one of the other suspects in the robbery. And it's written in a script format because our main character wants to be a film director. He wants to create films. He's very interested in that aspect of life and that career field. So it's written in a script format, and you kind of get sort of an unbiased view of what's going on in the court case, and then we have journal entries from him specifically. However, in both of these things, you don't really get to know what actually happened during that day, during the robbery. So at the end of the book, you're kind of the jury throughout it, because you don't get told specifically by Steve whether he's innocent or not innocent. You get, like, the conviction that the court and the jury comes to, but you're essentially part of the jury as well, because you kind of have to go off of everything that's presented in this book, because Steve doesn't really give you anything, and I personally really loved that. I thought it was so interesting and cool, and I'm sad that we lost Walter Dean Myers. May he rest in peace, because this was a great, great book. So the next one is A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I'm going to probably keep changing the way I say her last name because I suck at consistency. Anyways, so this is the first book in a duology. I already pre-ordered A Chorus Rises because I'm really excited about the description. The description of that one got me so excited for it. Anyways, moving on. This was one of my favorite books of last year. It blew my mind. So if you know nothing about it, it is an urban fantasy YA novel, and we follow 2 main characters, Tavia and Effie. I believe Tavia is... Yes, okay. So in this world, it's pretty common for there to be like mythical beings and beasts that exist. There's things like gargoyles. I'm going to butcher this. Elocos, and then sirens. Sirens tend to be black women, and they're kind of ostracized and looked down upon and looked as something to be feared. And one of our main characters, Tavia, is a siren. She is trying to keep her voice a secret, and she's also trying to learn a way to control it or to get rid of it, which is sad. You you really get attached to the characters in this book, in my opinion. I really love Tavia and Effie. They're also, like, the best of friends, but they consider each other to be sisters, which I feel like everyone has a friendship like that. And so that warmed my heart. I loved reading about their friendship. It was great. And then Effie also has her own kind of familial issues going on. She essentially lives with Tavia. She doesn't really interact too much with her family. She doesn't know much about her family, period. And Tavia lives with her family and Effie, obviously, but her relationship with her father is kind of strained, and it's because she's a siren, and she's very, like, self-conscious, not the happiest with being a siren, and she has to keep it a secret, and it's kind of painful and hard to do that. And also because in this world they're ostracized, and they're treated differently. Essentially, there is a murder case, a pretty infamous murder case that is being, like, tried in the story, and it's suspected that the murder victim is a siren, and as a result, the case isn't taken seriously, and any concern for the victim is kind of dismissed. And there is a huge relation between the Black Lives Matter movement in this book as well as the Say Her Name movement in this book. I really loved the correlation and the way that Morrow just did it perfectly. You got to, I feel like it made it easier to understand for people that maybe weren't fully aware of what was going on necessarily in the real world. So I really loved what Morrow did with this book. And it also is interesting because Tavia and Effie, one of their favorite, like, not booktubers, one of their favorite YouTubers reveals that she's a siren, and kind of shit hits the fan, and yeah, it's a great book. I loved the way it was told. I think Morrow did, like, a great job world building, and I just love the concept of it being modern day, like, in the world that I'm in with mystical beings. I love that concept. I think it's my favorite type of fantasy, personally. So if you have any more recommendations that are, like, urban fantasy, tell me down below, because I feel like that's probably my favorite type of fantasy, because I really vibed with this and I loved it. So I'm really excited for A Chorus Rises. So the next book is Allegedly by Tiffany D. Jackson. This one was 100% my top book of last year. I adored it. So this is one of her earlier books, and it follows a young girl named Mary B. Addison, who allegedly killed a white baby when she was a child. And as a result, she's kind of in the system. She's not allowed to live with her parents, and she's under a bunch of strict guidelines. I think she's in a halfway house. I don't know if that's actually the right term, but she's essentially living in a home with a bunch of other girls who are also kind of in her same predicament in certain ways. They're not considered fine by society and things along those lines. However, when Addison ends up pregnant, she realizes that she will not be able to keep the baby because of the conviction against her, and she strives to make steps to get the conviction changed and the case looked at again so that she can possibly keep her baby and clear her name. So this book, I don't know what I expected when I went into it, but I was not expecting to love it as much as I do. I just look at this book and I light up. I seriously love it. I love this book, and I would recommend it to everyone. Obviously, there's a lot of dark subject matter in it, so just be aware of that, but this book was fantastic. Fan-frickin-tastic. 100% would recommend to everyone and anyone. I don't know why it's one of her books that people don't really mention. I know I've heard about Monday's Not Coming and Grown, like, a decent amount, but I've never really heard anyone talk about Allegedly, and I think it's a great book, so I recommend that. And so the final book that I'm going to mention I don't own. I borrowed it from my library on audiobook, and that is The Secret Lives of Church Ladies by Deesha Philya. I listened to the audiobook, which was narrated by Janina Edwards, and this is a collection of short stories that follows church ladies, essentially. Black women or black girls that have a relation with God and are God-fearing and it follows the conflicts that they have with their own personal morals and the life that they lead in relation to God. I'm a Christian, so that's the main aspect of this book that really intrigued me, because I wanted to read about it, and it was so good. I've never left like a short story collection feeling like, wow, that was fantastic. But I left this one feeling like that. This one is also a more recent release. I think it came out December of last year. Seriously, I would recommend it. Like, if you're looking for a short, quick read that's also really well written and the stories are really, really good, I would suggest picking this one up. Like I said, every single story I enjoyed. There was one that like was my least favorite, but that's just how it goes. But every other story I really, really, really loved and enjoyed, and I even cried during one of them. So this was a very well written, very well written short story collection, and I've never read another short story collection that I liked as much as this one. This one was fantastically written, and I would highly recommend it. It gets you emotional, and it humanizes church ladies and allows you to see that they have their own personal struggles with their sins and what's going on in their life and things like that. And it's just, it's great. I really, really loved this book. There's also a lot of LGBT plus rep in it as well, which I just loved. I loved this book, like, period. This is definitely my most favorite short story collection. I definitely recommend that people check it out. Especially, like, if you have a strained relationship with God. I feel very weird talking about that on this channel because I feel like a lot of people don't realize that I'm Christian, but I feel like it's just a fantastic story. I have my own personal struggles because I do things that wouldn't be seen as okay by the church, and I believe things that wouldn't be seen as okay by the church as well, but I'm a Christian. I'm not going to change that. And I really enjoyed the fact that this book kind of touched on certain subjects that I struggle with myself, and I really loved it. I really, really loved it. 100% the best short story collection I've ever read, and would highly recommend it. I'm hoping to get my hands on a physical copy at some point as well, so I'll keep you updated on that. Anyways, this has been my 7 on Sunday video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below some recommendations that you have, or some awesome recommendations that you got for books written by Black authors. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and bye.